Guess I'm live. Just a few thoughts, maybe some encouragement off the top, off the dome. Um, I'm sure sharing this on my homepage or my regular page, not my Lucas and Doherty music page and all that, but um, I'm sure a lot of you are following or have, well, I'm sure some of you have followed, um, which I appreciate, uh, the updates and such since um, Nathaniel, our son, brother, nephew, grandson, friend, and so on, passed away um, just over a couple months ago. And his motto was to live life. And he very much wrung it out and did just that. And he had, which we all have a lot of tattoos, but um, one of his favorite tattoos, which he wanted to get for a long time, and he did. I don't remember where in the United States he got it, but he had lived life on his knuckles, so it would be a preeminent thing, you know. And after he passed away, I knew that um, I wanted to get his name and his years, um, and rest in peace. But also, um, which I did today. Uh, Thanks, by the way, Patrick McGill at Masterwork Tattoo, which I've seen him go from 5 years ago, his apprenticeship in Bloomington, to um, Irish Ink in Greenwood, to Mass Ave Tattoo, and then to Masterwork over a year ago. So he was the OG that I had to call because um, he's given the first tattoo to my wife Angie years ago, 5 years ago. That's how we met, and done several of mine, and then gave Nathaniel his first tattoo, and I think his second and third maybe, and then Caleb as well, and then Lydia, and then I'm sure we'll also Charity. Um, I'm enjoying the Dutch Masters for I'm on the tail end of it. Um, One thing that I've been doing to keep my own shit together because I got more shit to keep together than I can keep up with writing poetry over the last couple months as I do these little video diaries. This not being one of them, but I just finished one. That's why my cigar is short because I was 30 minutes into that already, and I'm enjoying a Miller High Life, which was my dad's favorite beer and Nathaniel's favorite beer. But anyway, so uh, went to Masterwork today, and I got in honor of Nathaniel and his worthy motto. That isn't just a motto. It's not just some poster on the wall motto uh, in some fucking human resources office somewhere. It was his motto, which he lived by. So I got that today, as well as, well, it's, let me see if I can get a picture of it here. Um, since it's bandaged up. I don't know if it'll look backwards on there or not, but anyway. Oh, yeah, looks, there it is. Nathaniel, 2000 to 2020. Rest in peace. Right across from Brothers, which is me and Clay. But anyway, um, I just wanted to say thank you for folks that have been encouraging to our family in whatever way. Um, a huge thanks to those who helped with memorial costs and such. That was a great help to our family, and that will never be forgotten. Um, we're still waiting on his headstone to be finished. So that's, I guess, the last major thing as far as uh, that, the things that have to be done when a person passes away. Uh, but I wanted to encourage. There's a lot of overwhelming stuff going on in the world, in our country. Um, there are things that obviously need attention, and there are more. I think, and I've heard this and I've seen this in people's lives that I know personally that I also are and friends with on social media and such. Um, that a lot of it can feel overwhelming, justifiably, and then and a lot of us are going through. It's not like all this stuff's going on, global pandemic, issues of civil rights and safety in our country and other countries, um, amongst other things, election cycles, all this. There's a 24-hour news cycle of fear and trepidation and demanding attention and clamoring for your hours and your days and your clicks and arguments and fights online. Um, but on the topic of living life, uh, there is an unknown expiration date. And my encouragement is it has to be an act of will at a time like this to be a pilot in your own life and not a passenger. There's so much of what's going on right now that can make one feel like a side character in their own story. But that isn't the ideal. There's so much going on right now that can make you feel that you are under the circumstances, that you are drifting in a sea of chaos, as it were. But my hope is that you can find a way to surf that chaos, to ride on top of these crazy waves, as it were, instead of feeling like you're just floating out in the sea, just being crashed on and crashed on and crashed on by the next fear, the next trepidation, the next injustice, the next this, the next that. And that's hard to do. I'm not saying I have it all figured out. I'm trying myself. Uh, but any friend, if you ever need someone to grab a cup of coffee with or a beer, feel free to reach out. I'm generally relatively loose. Uh, maybe not at a moment's notice, but at a day or two's notice. But if it's an emergency, it could be a moment's notice. And hold those around you tight. Be the change that you want to see. And a lot of it is just taking it moment by moment, um, and uh, just being present in that moment, being present in that day, being there with those who are with you, loving them, being kind, and this may seem a little askew, but I was thinking about this heavily in the last week for a couple of reasons. Um, and I know these kind of live streams are something I've not availed myself of much, but I like the idea because I like things coming naturally and off the dome, unedited, untrimmed, uncooked, raw. I was thinking about this, especially as it pertains to this election cycle and the divisiveness, and where I'm seeing so many, and this is not a chiding, this is just an observation, although I guess it could be a chiding in certain circumstances. It is easy to see other human beings, particularly those who are like just Facebook friends or old acquaintances from high school or whatever, and they say something that rubs you the wrong way. It's like, fuck this person. Or I see so often, if you don't believe X, just unfriend me. If you block, oh, cut this motherfucker loose. What's losing one person out of my 700 Facebook friends or my 500 Facebook friends? Um, and we have so many, we're inundated with so much news feed and flow and opinions and all this that it's easy to see each other as disposable, like Kleenexes. And and to let any given news story, depending on our position or opinion versus another person's opinion, take a human being and throw them in the fucking trash can. Now, is everybody a good person who needs to be in your life? No. No, of course not. Some people are very toxic. Okay, you have to handle this case by case. But I think the pendulum has swung, perhaps in some cases, too far the other direction. And this is what I was thinking about. Back in the 90s, during Bill Clinton's 2 terms in office, my grandfather and my father were on opposite sides of the Bill Clinton appreciation bandwagon. And it doesn't matter who was on which side, and it doesn't matter what they disagreed over. This is what I'm getting to. On multiple occasions, I remember, and they loved each other. They were close. They had good times. They went out and had coffee. They had good conversation. I'm not saying this defined their relationship. But over a period of years, I recall in my childhood, they would have these kind of raucous arguments about Bill Clinton, you know, and his policies or fucking whatever. And it caused anger and frustration and division and like, how can you believe this? And it was a differing of perspectives. And it was like one thing that they diverged on, but they had so much in common. And it would be these little things that they would let. Well, here's the thing. They're both dead, and Bill Clinton is fucking alive, doing whatever the fuck Bill Clinton wants to do. And he's never one goddamn time thought about my dad or my grandfather. Ultimately, every one of those arguments, fast forward to now, was a fart in the fucking wind of their lives. Hence, perhaps, if I may borrow biblical phraseology, any who have an ear to let them hear, maybe there's something you can glean from that. Maybe there's not. And I'm just another dumbass on the internet. But I'm not the oldest motherfucker on the planet, but in 42 years I've seen a few things, and I've tried to learn from them. So, do with that what you will. My Dutch Masters is gone, and ah, so is my champagne of beers. I hope you have a wonderful day. It's beautiful outside in Indiana. Later.